Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. Bailey is at least live from the Xfinity Studios as we are presented by Bet365. Olympics underway for the women. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the men as well. We'll also talk about the Avalanche when it comes to their goaltending and maybe otherwise. We'll get into all of that on today, but we can start with the actual hockey currently going on, which is the Women's Olympics. I don't know that there's a ton surprising to support or report here, but U.S. won their first two games looking dominant. Canada has won the one game they have played with a shutout. And then Sweden is dominating Group B on the other side of the bracket. So I guess the only surprise is just how much Finland has struggled maybe, but, you know, they're kind of in the group of death. So there is that.
I guess there's one silver lining here. No, I do think, I mean, when you look at that U.S. team up and down, it's really difficult to not, from an unbiased standpoint, sit there and kind of be on their side for things too. So that's, no surprise at all there for me. It's fun hockey. I'm glad they're able to kind of kick things off, and for the most part too. I mean, things going well. Nothing really to complain about.
Yeah, I think everything is going to expectations. I will say the hockey has been quite fun. We'll see, obviously, but you've heard all the trouble about the rink, no doubt, over the leading months. Hasn't really been an issue, so at least they've got that going.
That was gonna be my point. If you're looking at the women's team being the kind of guinea pig for this rink, I mean, seems like there's that is like the last thing that we're hearing about. You're talking about the success of all these teams, women or U.S. women's team. I mean, Italy's kind of starting to make some sort of push as well, which I thought was kind of fun listening to how hyped those girls are to kind of talk about the success of their team, being able to make that happen for themselves. But yeah, nothing about the rink, which is really pleasing to hear. Not that, you know, women's hockey is really cool and I'm it's exciting to watch, but knowing, like, I mean, we're talking about a lot of the men's guys and the Avs guys playing here and whatever, going to focus a lot on that. And that doesn't seem to be a worry as much as it was maybe a month or 2 months ago.
Right. I do wonder about how much of that is just the hype cycle of news overblowing the
absolutely.
problem.
Yeah.
So that's probably some of it. On the other hand, I think it'll be an interesting adjustment when we see the men take the ice on a shorter rink, just how tight the game is going to be. But for the women's side of things, it seems to have been working fine. Certainly, America hasn't had any trouble dealing with a shorter rink, outscoring their opponents 10-1 through the first two games. We all know the game to watch, though, is going to be the U.S. versus Canada when it comes to the women's side of things. One of them is going to get the one seed out of that group.
Yep,
and hopefully it's the U.S.
I will say that game's. I'm very excited to turn that on tomorrow. It's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I really liked watching the Japanese team as well, just because they play really fast and they do a lot of fun stuff. Like, they have a really good forecheck, but they can't shoot and they cannot out-muscle anybody. So it's like a swarm of bees flying around the ice, and then someone on Team Sweden or someone will just somehow be like 6'3" and they can't do anything about it. It's super fun to watch.
At least they got one thing going for them. If they can have a good forecheck, I mean, what does it matter if you can't capitalize on it? But at least that's fun, right?
You got to take what you have, I guess. Is the point I'm making there. But I do think it'll be interesting. One of these Canada and U.S. teams is going to get the lower seed and have to go through Sweden on the other side of the bracket, which, look, those are the banger matchups. Those are the ones that you're looking forward to when it comes to the Olympics. And I think we're set up for a really good finish to the Olympic women's stuff with 3 real teams that I believe could actually win gold. For a long, long time, it's just been the U.S. and Canada and then everybody else.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Nice to see from Sweden. We can move on to the men's stuff too, which their Olympic hockey doesn't kick off for another couple of days when it comes to actual games, but lots to talk about when it comes to the Colorado Avalanche at the Olympics. Let's start with Landeskog, actually, because I think this is maybe the more unknown situation. We weren't sure exactly what the plan was for Gabe Landeskog at these Olympics, and as of now, he's listed on Sweden's 4th line, is the captain of the team, of course. We knew that was coming. But I guess my question to you, Bailey, is what is the optimal outcome for this Olympics? Is this an Olympics where Landy just kind of plays a few minutes on the 4th line, he makes sure he's healthy and good to go, or do you want to see him build up through this Olympics and move up the lineup?
It's really difficult to say because I do think he's in a very interesting position with going into this injured.
Yeah.
So I think like my main goal for him is to just come out that way. Come out uninjured if this is how you're coming in. Pushing it's great if you want to see him score a couple goals, like absolutely, like that's why you're on the team, is to contribute in some way, shape, or fashion. But at the end of the day, for Landeskog, I think this is more of a build-up for him than anything. Like I think his mindset versus a mindset like Nathan MacKinnon's, which we can kind of talk about later as well. I think it is very interesting. One of the quotes that came out for him are very different. Whereas, MacKinnon is very driven. I think Landeskog, there's part of, the professional side of it and playing the hockey and wanting to win for your country and wanting to push that. But I do think there is a sort of rehab side to this for him, is like he hasn't touched NHL ice since the beginning of January. So like getting back into that groove and kind of finding that through the first few games, I think is the most important first off. Through that though, like, I mean, if you can see him climb the lineup and at least, I mean, maybe break the bottom 6, I think that's huge. You have a lot of elite talent on the top of that Sweden roster. So it's going to be a little difficult given the climb that he has in front of him and the situations putting him on that 4th line. But I'd love to see him build back up. I don't think he's going to be their best goal scorer by far, but I would love to see him put up something, contribute in some ways, whether that's, putting up a couple assists or like getting a goal or 2. I mean, that doesn't seem like his top role on this team, but if he can get a couple, like that's at the end of everything, that's what I'd love to see Gabe Landeskog do.
Yeah. Obviously Landy knows his body better than I know his body. I'm not going to pretend to know exactly where he's at in his recovery, but it sure seems like everything is built up for this Olympics to really be I don't want to call it a trial run. It's the Olympics. Obviously he wants to be there and compete, but I would not be surprised if he was on a minute count, if he really was fairly limited for this Swedish team when it comes to actually playing hockey. Now, the Avs know as well as anyone, his leadership makes a huge difference on teams as well. So maybe he can do a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily include on-ice product for that Swedish team. When you look at Sweden's group, they're in a group with Slovakia, Italy, and Finland. Obviously, Sweden and Finland are, I would give the edge to Sweden probably if I had to between their lineups, but certainly a rivalry there. You would expect Sweden to be the best team, or certainly in the top 2 in that group.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The cool thing about this Gabe Landeskog situation, though, that I find I think puts him at some sort of an advantage is those managing minutes. It's not something he's not used to. So it's not as though this is his first situation kind of going through, okay, I'm coming back from injury. Maybe it is a little frustrating, but it's not something he's not used to. And I would love to see Sweden kind of lean into that a little bit too, and a little bit of the mentality that Jared Bednar went into this and saying, like, ultimately, like, yeah, we've got health professionals and whatever, but like that's Landeskog knows Landeskog best at the end of the day. So if that's going to help in that first start for Sweden, like that's going to be best case scenario. If I see his minutes increase drastically from that first game to the second game, even better.
Yeah. So hopefully things go well on that front for Gabe. Looking forward to that. Sweden is the first team to play that has an Avalanche player on it, who plays on the 11th. And then the next team to play is, well, Canada and Czechia play each other. So Natchez versus the Canadian boys is next up on the Avs docket. I think there's a lot to get into on the Canadian side of things. So let's start with Natchez first here. Realistic expectations. If you're someone like Marty Natchez, if you're a team Czechia going into this, are you even considering yourself a medal threat?
Maybe. Not one of the top 2. Yeah. But if bronze is, where they get, I could easily see them doing that. Though I think they have a lot of tough competition there. I mean, Finland's obviously going to be making the biggest push in my mind for that spot. Sure. But if you've got that roster operating the way that they need to, you just need to prepare for a lot of the talent on the other side of things, especially if Canada is going to be one of the top threats in this situation, which I mean, looking at these rosters, like, it is very clear cut to me that is exactly the situation. So medal contender, absolutely. Silver and gold, count me out.
Much. Yeah. Count me out. Fair enough on that front. It'll be interesting. I think to see how competitive some of these deeper teams down the list are against a Canada in the US, because we've talked so much over the years about how more globalized the hockey has become as a game. How much have they really narrowed the gap down to these teams like Canada in the last decade plus? I know you've had things like the Four Nations and stuff, but a team like Czechia wasn't a part of that. Yes, you have the World Championships, but that is not really thing. Best on best. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Not the same thing at all.
So
I don't know. I do think it's interesting when looking at the roster. Like, I think it speaks volumes that they've got Natchez on that top line too. So I mean, playing next to guys like Tomas Hertl and Pasternak, like that's about as good as that roster gets. So that alone, I think, could go and upset a Finland or in situations like that. And I mean, you've seen how some of these rosters, like a Canada and a roster like the United States, work. Guys can have bad nights, and looking at Pasternak and Natchez specifically, that's you've got two players that know how to capitalize, especially on the offensive side of things. So if that's slacking in these first few games, I mean, they could absolutely be some sort of upset situation. It's going to be so exciting to watch.
Yeah, Team Czechia might be my underdog to watch. We'll see. But we do need to talk about Team Canada as well, and maybe the impact it could have on the Avs. But we'll do that after the break. We need to shout out a few of our sponsors here first. New built restoration and construction are licensed general contractors who can help with any project, big or small, and they will be there when a home emergency hits. They're available 24/7 and truly care about being there for their customers. They have over 600 reviews to prove that that's true. They'll work with your insurance to make sure a stressful process is as smooth as possible, and they offer a number of different services, including fire damage, water damage, mold removal, general repair services, and they even work on commercial projects. So whatever it is, New Built has your back. They're true DNVR fans too, and we're super excited to support their business the way they support us. So when that home emergency does hit, New Built Restoration and Construction will be there. You can visit them at newbuilt.com. That's NUBILT.com, or go to 720-903-4254 and let them know DNVR sent you over there by phone. Either way, go get with New Built Restoration and Construction. And once you've taken care of your home with New Built, you also might want to go out on the town and get yourself a nice dinner. That is where STK Steak Restaurant comes into play. Make sure you're getting over to STK when you're looking for a delicious steak, but they have a lot more than that. They have happy hours for $3, $6, and $9, ranging from 2:30 to 6:30 on Sunday through Thursday, as well as 9 p.m. to close on Sunday through Thursday, and then 2:30 to 5:30 on Friday and Saturday. They're also open late every single day, especially on game days. So if you just finished up watching an Avs or Nuggets game, you can go to STK and still get your meal. It's a 3-course meal plus a glass of wine for $69 on steak night per person. So it's a darn good deal to get some delicious food too. They have seasonal menus as well as rotating items, and they're even open on holidays. They have Valentine's Day features starting on the 9th and going through the 16th. So that's today through the 16th. You can get yourself set up for a nice Valentine's at STK. It's dinner with a vibe. They have a DJ every night, and they even have private dining spaces if you want to run a corporate event or social celebration. So make a reservation today and learn more at stksteakhouse.com. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by Bet365. Let's dive into Team Canada's roster here. We'll get to a number of different factors, but obviously we're an Avalanche podcast, and we're going to talk about how this affects the Avalanche. First of all, really funny way that Devon Toews was described as going to the Olympics. There was questions on whether he'd get there right away because his wife was pregnant and going to have a kid. And he said, look, I'm going to stay home until the kid's born. And then the season went on break, and it was reported as, quote, that will not be an issue anymore. And Devon Toews will be with the team.
All right. Cool. That's, I mean, yeah, concerning. First off,
as far as I know, wife and baby are healthy for the record, and it was just reported very weirdly.
That is just a very weird verbiage used in this. No, this was kind of a best case scenario for Devon Toews, I think. Like you get wife and baby home healthy right before you go, and you get to go do something that a lot of kids grow up playing hockey dreaming of. So for him to be able to go knowing that quote unquote won't be an issue anymore, like that's, I mean, awesome for Devon Toews. He's had some interesting kind of quotes going into this too, which I think is kind of funny. Yeah, really, really great for Devon Toews. Really happy to see him on this roster. Maybe, as we've talked about through the season as well, not his best Avs season offensively, but as we all know, there's a lot more that goes into that. And I do think that on the defensive side of things, playing next to Cale Makar, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
Well, that's where I wanted to go next. Not to downplay Devon, he's a great player, deserves to be on Team Canada, all of that. How much importance does this have for Cale Makar that he gets to play with Toews at this event?
I think that just speaks volumes to the kinds of players that both Devon Toews and Cale Makar are. Sure. When you're looking at a kind of loaded Canadian roster, there's easily maybe a couple different combinations you could go with on the blue line. But best team in the league. You're looking at number one in the NHL. obviously something is working there. Obviously there's success to be had for the way that tandem is operating. And it's hard to look at constructing this Team Canada roster and putting it together and actually putting these players into practice and into situations and not put them together knowing how well they work together. So it speaks to not only the kind of players that they are, because I mean, we all know Cale Makar is an elite defenseman. There's something to be said about just how well he plays next to Devon Toews. Not just in theory, this is proven. This is proven success. So knowing that can be implemented on a Team Canada roster is huge. Absolutely huge.
I don't want to get fully into this conversation because we're going to talk about it with MacKinnon too, but Makar put on power play 1 for Team Canada as far as their practice rungs are concerned. Is this... Look, it's Cale Makar. You're never going to say, using Cale Makar is the wrong decision. Of course not.
No.
But this is a guy who struggled to put the puck in the back of the net on the power play this year. I don't want to say can Canada fix him, but can that improve? Yeah.
But can Canada fix him? Can they? No, I hope. Like, that's maybe... And this is a very large dose of hopium here. But I really hope, in looking at a lot of the talent on this roster, that's exactly what they need to sit there and say, okay, no, they're really, like, you haven't had an excuse all season, but you really have no excuse to not perform well on these units. You have Nathan MacKinnon on your unit. So, like, there's something to be said about really needing to be at your best. And I almost wonder, while they're crowdsourcing the Avs for solutions to the power play, maybe they're not anymore, but it's happened. Maybe that, if that's the case, coming out of this Olympic break and they're talking to these players, okay, how did this feel like playing next to this guy? What did you see? Maybe that's, good experience, good hands-on situations that you can bring back to the Avs and be like, hey, this is something they tried and it really worked out well for us. Now, obviously, we have to wait until game 1. Hopefully, there's some sort of, they can implement this and we can see it firsthand just how well it works. But I'm really hoping that is the case. They look at this and saying, like, there really is no excuse. You have the talent surrounding you now. You have all of the talent in your country surrounding you right now. There's really no excuse for Cale to not go out there and perform. I also look at this and saying too, like, Cale Makar has needed to step it up the last couple of games for the Avs. And I hope being surrounded by some of this talent and being able to kind of touch the puck, get practices on, that quality can improve. Like, at this point, it is not even a hope. Like, this needs to improve if you're looking to contribute to your team getting gold.
I will say, Canada doesn't have any other great options for a power play defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
At least in their starting 6, as it's currently listed. Morrissey, fewer points than Makar, same amount of goals, which is just 2. Cale Makar only has 2 power play goals this year, and that's the best that Canada has to offer. Parayko doesn't really play the power play. Doughty doesn't really play the power play. Harley sometimes plays the power play in Dallas. It's a bit weird with how they split the time with Haskin in there. Only has 1 power play goal. So for as, I don't know if disappointing is the right word, but for as underperforming as Cale Makar has been on the power play for the Avalanche this year, he's still pretty cleanly Canada's best choice on the power play. So I don't know that they have another option there as far as defensemen running the unit.
Yeah. No, and that needs to continue. Like, that is full stop. And like I said, like, this is a situation, like, looking at these 2 units too, you've got really good forward options for this. But looking at Shea Theodore running that bottom unit, given how the first lines ran today.
Yeah.
Makar has to be your top guy, but in being your top guy, it's a little funny knowing that, worst power play in the league, or at least very well getting there, that is your top guy. But that's the standard that Cale Makar is set in this environment, in this economy. Cale Makar has to be your guy. And when you're looking at Cale Makar being your guy, whatever is plaguing the Avalanche and their power plays woes right now cannot plague Team Canada, especially with them being the favorites.
Is what's plaguing the Avalanche power play Nathan MacKinnon?
Oh God. Looking at Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon running this thing too, you have to hope that there's some sort, if how the power play is operating in Colorado is not enough to wake Nathan MacKinnon up. Like, we talk about Cale Makar maybe needing to step it up, finishing on some of those opportunities, increasing that quality in some of his shots. Nathan MacKinnon has to be better. And I wonder if a Connor McDavid is enough to look at that and saying, like, this is the guy I'm battling for the heart right now. I can't let him show me up. Go do it.
I just have this horrible thought in my head of like, okay, we all know that the Avs power play is probably better than it's shown this year, and we're hopeful that getting them out of their skin a little bit and on these Olympic teams can fire that up. Maybe you learn something new from these other elite players. Maybe you just try something different. I'm also horrified that what if Team Canada's power play goes like 5% in this tournament because Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar are on it?
If that's the case, then again, we talked about maybe the defensive side of, utilizing the power play isn't great for Team Canada. They have other players they can put on that top unit. So if Nathan MacKinnon's falling off the face of the earth when it comes to the man advantage, put Celebrini up there. Put Mitch Marner up there. Like, that seems like the easy solution. And if that's not a wake-up call, if you're looking at one of the best forwards in the league being demoted to the second power play unit because he just can't perform, I don't know what is.
Certainly a lot easier for Team Canada to demote Nathan MacKinnon with the options they have, as opposed to the Avalanche, where you don't really see that.
Terrified.
All their high-end talents already on the first unit, right?
Yeah. So, like, there's really no, but that's what I'm saying too, is like, I have to hope that there's some sort of mindset going into this. Obviously, it's the first day of practice, right? So they've still got a little bit of time to kind of figure this out and nail down some units. I can't imagine a world where Nathan MacKinnon's not playing on that first power play unit in at least the first game. But at the same time, too, your job is not set in stone. This is not solidified, and I have to hope that's how this Team Canada crew is kind of looking at this as well and saying, like, hey, we have serious things we're working for here. I have to hope that the quotes that Nathan MacKinnon's going into this with as well, saying that, you want to take it all in, you want to enjoy it, but we have a job to do. Okay. Okay, cool. Go and do that. Go and be the guy that everybody knows you can be, because otherwise somebody's taking that job. Like that, it is as simple as that for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And hopefully this is just me being a pessimist, and Team Canada's power play runs at 35%, and Nathan MacKinnon remembers how to do it, and Cale Makar remembers how to score goals, and we're all happy.
Okay, but then they come back to Colorado. There's really no excuse.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
There's really, like, you have no excuse coming back to Denver for it to suck as badly as it has.
Yep. That's
maybe there's a fine line to walk here on the power play. It doesn't need to be the best, but just don't make it bad, please. No, like that's where I'm at. Make it exciting.
Make it I want them to come in, bring whatever they learned from Crosby and McDavid to make it the best. Avs got to learn one way or another eventually on that. We have got to take our second break of the show, so let's shout out a few more sponsors. The official vehicle of DNVR is Toyota, and they're also the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. They have a vehicle for everyone, so you can get something, whether it's a truck, an SUV, a sedan, crossover, hatchback, or anything in between. Toyota has you covered. You can jump in with 17 different vehicles with all-wheel or four-wheel drive if you like the control on the roads, or maybe you like going off-roading, and that's your thing. It helps you get the grip out there, whether that's the RAV4, the 4Runner, the Corolla, it doesn't really matter. I literally look at the vehicles that have hybrid, whether that's low emission or zero emission. They have more of those than any other automaker out there. So you can get it on that and save a little bit of money on your commute. Whatever type of Toyota you're looking for, go to your Front Range Toyota stores at AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corbin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR and the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. Toyota, let's go places. And once you've got yourself into a Toyota, that means you can get yourself ready to go with your business, whether it's delivering stuff or not. Sometimes you got to go to the post office. Doesn't matter. Get with Shopify today. It's an e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and they even run 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., including the DNVR merch store. Head to allcitynetworkstore.com to get yourself a cool shirt. LLC might come back this year. We'll see. Maybe if you, with the power of Shopify, can get him back to health. Obviously, Shopify is an awesome platform to set up all of your stuff. I know it well because I collect cards, and it's great to use Shopify because there's way less fees. So you can avoid some of those fees if you're a seller, and that shows through in your prices too if you're a buyer. Shopify has you covered with website creation, product descriptions, email and social media marketing, and more. They even have AI tools designed to help you maximize sales. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. So head on over to get your big business idea turned into. With Shopify on your side, you can sign up for a $1 per month trial and start selling at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. So, third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by Bet365. MacKinnon has always been a very singular focused hockey player, right? The comments that he made about how he's not here to enjoy himself and he just wants to win gold shouldn't really surprise anyone that knows who Nathan MacKinnon is. But is there a line there? When is Nathan MacKinnon taking things too seriously?
I don't know if Nathan MacKinnon knows how to operate any other way anymore.
Yeah.
Like that is my full, I'm convinced. I mean, when you operate the way that he has, at least for the last couple of years, they know they're capable of winning a cup. They have the team to win the cup. He needs to be that top guy. Like when you operate like that for that long, I feel like it's really hard to get into a situation where you're kicking your feet up in a professional setting and saying like, hey, I don't know what that's like anymore when I lace those skates up, unless it's like a truly okay, I'm skating around to skate around. I've got Crosby and Celebrini here. Like we're just kind of messing around before things kick into gear for the season kind of thing. I really don't know if there is a line, or if there is a line, it is a very hard set line. But if there is no line, I don't think the other side of anything exists for Nathan MacKinnon. And that's just who he is as a player. And I do think it is interesting when kind of going into the mindsets of players and trying to break down, okay, what is wrong with Nathan MacKinnon? Is this what he was building up towards was just to kind of perform for his country? If that's the case, the way that he's played and talking about, beating that runway to the Olympic break makes a lot more sense now.
Yep.
If that's the comment that he's going into this with, and that's the mindset that he's got, it makes a lot more sense. But I do, there is something about realizing you're putting on your country's jersey. You're going and representing your country. Not many people have been able, players, I will say, have been able to do that in the Olympics. There's playing, 4 nations, there's World Juniors Championships, there's World Championships and things of that sort. But you don't really get to go and enjoy the Olympics. And a lot of the comments coming out about some of these guys too, saying, okay, what does it mean for you to put on this jersey? Like, what would you tell younger players vying for the Olympics? And almost every single one of them has said, enjoy the little moments. Like, enjoy the smaller things. And that's what you wish a guy like Nathan MacKinnon could go out there and do. That is not Nathan MacKinnon at all. But I wonder if there's, somebody on that roster, maybe, Gabe Landeskog is there. He might not be like rooming with him, but he is there. So I wonder if there's somebody there that can kind of take that down a notch for him and be like, dude, you're in Milan. You're at the Olympics. Players have not been here for so long. I understand you want to go and win gold. We all do, but like, enjoy this while you got it. Because like, it is a break. That's what it's meant to be. Like, yes, you're representing your country, but it is a break from what has been an insane schedule. Enjoy it.
Yeah. I would like to see him enjoy it a little bit more too. It's just how Nathan MacKinnon is built though, right? Like the Triple Gold Club is extremely exclusive when it comes to hockey players. That's something that MacKinnon is trying to become a part of with an Olympic gold medal. You get to a point where MacKinnon can basically say he's won everything there is to win if he can win an Olympic gold. Mm-hmm. And clearly that's just the way he's built. He doesn't know how to do anything but win. And for all that, every hockey player loses all the time. And MacKinnon doesn't want to squander his opportunities here. Now, if the NHL decides to stay at the Olympics and keep going, he'll almost certainly be on Team Canada for the next one as well. So this likely won't be his only shot. Right. But yeah, there has to be some balance at a certain point, right? You have to dial it back sometimes.
I feel like all the best players should be that way. And I say that with an insane preference of Nathan MacKinnon is a great hockey player. There's no question about that. But I'd almost like to see what Connor McDavid is kind of doing or experiencing in this. If he's able to kind of like separate the hockey from like the actual like off ice experience of it all. And maybe that's just what star players are like. Maybe when you're talking about the best of the best, like maybe that's just the mode they're in. But I feel like that is a mindset that looking at a Seth Jarvis or a Brad Marchand, who like they really do take an opportunity to kick back and being like, this is the freaking Olympics. Like, this is awesome. Like there's more to it than just going yes, it's an incredible opportunity, but there's more to it. And I feel like that doesn't need to be the case for Nathan MacKinnon. And like that's what should make like the best players the best, is being able to separate that a little bit.
Marchand, who is currently slated to be on a line with Nathan MacKinnon, which we'll get to in a minute. When you compare his interviews to McKinnon's interviews, it gets pretty funny. MacKinnon obviously talking super serious about winning, but Marchand, when asked about MacKinnon, said, well, he skates and I kind of try to chase him down. And then when he was asked if that's what he'll be doing here, he said, yeah, exactly. I'm just going to give it to him and change. I'm not catching him.
What do you do at that point? Like, I mean, again, when we're talking about the size of the ice, right? You've got a little tiny neutral zone. What are you going to do when you get into the offensive zone to try and help? Like, that's like what's interesting when you look at the, Avs roster versus this is at least he has Martin Necas to go up there and at least make some sort of play off of. Like, you can kind of get set up a little quickly or like get a quick shot off, whatever. Like, he's got that help.
Yep.
What are you supposed to do at that point?
Here's the thing. As listed for their 5-on-5 lines, MacKinnon is listed as their 2C behind McDavid and is playing with Brad Marchand and Nick Suzuki. Mm-hmm. Now, MacKinnon trains in the offseason with Marchand all the time. That connection's been there for a long time. But you also get someone like Suzuki who Is John Cooper putting Nathan MacKinnon with two adults on the defensive side of the puck? Is that what we're doing here?
I don't, as much as Brad Marchand might be, the older, more experienced of the two, I don't know if adult is necessarily, I mean, based on some of the interview. No, in all seriousness, like I do think you're looking at a very well-rounded line. Nathan MacKinnon, obviously great at puck moving. Suzuki, great shooter. Brad Marchand adds a little bit of grit that, maybe that's something that Nathan MacKinnon, I mean, you could make the argument that maybe Landeskog can be a sort of gritty player, but like this is the most grit maybe he's seen on his line in a while. Like when you're talking about getting the full like 200-foot experience of hockey, this is the perfect line for that sort of situation.
Certainly well balanced, as you mentioned.
Yeah,
I do wonder if that puts a little bit more pressure on MacKinnon to drive that offense as an individual for Team Canada, though. And look, a guy like MacKinnon is no stranger going up against the best players on the planet. He does it every night in Colorado as their 1C. Are they counting on MacKinnon as a 2 seed? And maybe it's hard to say there's any easy matchups in the Olympics, but maybe that slightly easier guy to face. Can MacKinnon be a dominant force for this team, or is he really second banana behind McDavid?
You have to be. I don't see this as like a second banana at all. Because you're talking about the two top guys in the league vying for that Hart Trophy. So there is no situation like maybe the Avs dealt with earlier this season and saying like, okay, MacKinnon's got to be the driver of everything. Like maybe you've got Brock Nelson who needs to start producing a little bit more. You're not getting that out of Jack Drury, and who knows what the fourth line is going to look like. Like this is truly, okay, you have a good scorer on the first line, you have a good scorer on the second line. Like that truly to me is all it is, and that's what it needs to be. I don't know as though that should be any sort of like, okay, I can take my foot off the brakes a little bit for Nathan MacKinnon, knowing that McDavid's got that top spot. Like this, if anything, maybe his mindset makes sense. Like he truly is focused on helping his team win gold. You can't do that by, looking at that top line and saying like, oh, they've got maybe the better matchups. Like I'm all covered. Like that's not how that should work at all. And if you're going to help a Team Canada win gold, you need not only Connor McDavid doing Connor McDavid things, but that includes a Nathan MacKinnon doing Nathan MacKinnon things as well.
Bailey, I know I've asked you this before, but give me your gold, silver, bronze.
Oh gosh. Canada gold, US silver, Finland bronze, I think is where I'm at. It's going to be very loaded with Avs players for me. There's no question. And in talking about that too, again, like that gold and silver is very, very set in my mind.
Don't disagree.
If it's not Finland in that bronze spot, I hope it is. Just be it like personal preference. I love not only, Finland is a country, Finland's players, but just that roster seems like ideally on paper. I mean, they've got everything. They've got guys who can not only play the 5-on-5 game, but you've got guys like Mikko Rantanen who are performing over the top on the power play. And then you've got, a lot of depth in guys like Kiviranta who can, perform on the PK and help out that way too. Like it just seems ideally on paper that that's going to be or what it should be anyway.
Bailey hates Sweden and Gabe Landeskog confirmed.
So God, this is no and Natchez.
Yeah.
Wow, do me like that. Thanks so much, you guys.
Let me ask you that question though. Do you think it's Sweden that's in the bronze medal match with Finland, or is someone else sneak in there?
It's between Sweden and Czechia for me. I think like that's if you're getting all of those guys on those rosters performing, firing at all cylinders, that's why, I mean, you asked me the question earlier, like, could Czechia be a threat for that bronze medal? Absolutely. And I think the same goes for Team Sweden. Like, obviously I want to see as many Avs players get this medal as possible. And maybe that's a tiny bit why I'm putting Finland there above those two. I want to see as much hardware come back as possible for this group. But that, I don't think, takes away from, like, these rosters are stacked for a reason. And if they operate the way that they need to, Finland's that's a run, giving them a run for their money. Yeah. Absolutely.
I do want to change gears a little bit here. We may still talk about some Olympic goalies, but I wanted to get into the Avs goaltending conversation here. In the sense of, how good have Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood actually been this year? I don't think either of them is on track to win the Vezina by any stretch of the imagination, but when you look at the Avs' two goaltenders, you can make an argument that they have the best tandem in the league. Do either of them crack the top 10 goalies in the NHL for you?
Mackenzie Blackwood, absolutely. Scott Wedgwood, no, but that is no shirk to what he has been for this team recently. I think there's something to be said. I mean, I feel like talked a lot about what is specifically Scott Wedgwood has meant for this team, especially off the ice, like the incredible locker room presence, somebody who knows how to talk with every single guy in that locker room. But his on-ice stats have been insane as well. I mean, in games played, like, he's had the most starts he's ever had in his career. And they're not starts that have been bad by any means. Like, yes, of course, he's got a couple games scattered in there, but for the most part, you're talking about his overall game. He's terrifying to play against. He is not somebody I imagine any team wants to go up against, especially talking about how he preps for his games too. Like, I think off-ice preparation for him is huge. The amount of research that goes into how he analyzes the team across from him makes him a huge threat alone. But Mackenzie Blackwood absolutely gets that nod from me. He has been everything this team has needed. Maybe not on the injury side of things, which is why I give as much of my flowers as I do to Scott Wedgwood and what he's done for the team. But taking injury out of the equation, you're talking about 3 shutouts on the season. You're talking about some insane saves. You're talking about, I mean, the playoff performance. Nothing is on Mackenzie Blackwood for that. So he's not scared about coming from a team with little to no experience to the Colorado Avalanche, who have been known contenders the last, couple years. Yep. And he's taken that in stride. He's looked at this and saying, like, I know what I'm capable of. This team knows what I'm capable of. He's been able to showcase that this year to AT. No question. Has been everything this team has needed on every single front. Every guy talks about it in the locker room as being like, he and Scott, but I mean, just looking specifically is Mackenzie Blackwood, who should be the starter for this team, given them a chance to win night in and night out. There is no game where Mackenzie Blackwood's in net that they're saying, like, oh, we don't have a shot at this. And that's not something they could say in the last couple years.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at the advanced statistics on both of these goalies, pretty much every statistic you have here has Mackenzie Blackwood right around 10th in the NHL when you filter out the guys that have played like one game that don't actually matter. His goals saved above expected per 60 is right at 0.5 per 60. So he's saving about half a goal above expected per game, which puts him in 11th in the league on that statistic. When you look at his save percentage above expected, he's right there at 9th. Falling into that category of a top 10 NHL goalie, except for in that category of games played. that you were talking about, which injuries have been a recurring issue for him this year that is, depending on how you look at it, you can say that's holding him back, or you can say there's less wear and tear, so maybe it's easier for him to put up some of those numbers. I think either of those conversations could be legitimate depending on how you want to approach it. When you look at Wedgwood, he's closer to 15 to 20th, depending on what statistic you want to get into with the advanced stats, which is, is that an elite NHL goalie? No. Is that incredibly good for a guy who 6 months ago was a hard backup? Yes, absolutely. So Avs are, I think it's safe to say, getting the most out of their goaltending. I don't know why you wouldn't believe in Blackwood as the guy right now, if that's what the Avs needed him to be, but the Avs are happy to go with the tandem because they have two very good goalies. Now, my question is, how much credit does the team in front of these goalies get for making their lives easier? Because obviously they're great goalies, but you take just about any goaltender in the league and their numbers are probably going to go up if you put them behind Colorado.
That's why my answer is all of the credit, or at least 95% of it.
Sure.
And I think especially when you look at monthly comparisons, right? The October through December, incredible months of hockey for the Avalanche.
Yeah.
But losing guys like Devon Toews and Gabriel Landeskog, team fell apart, and Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood can only do so much back there if they're being left out to dry. And so the team in front of you is so important, and that's what makes this Avs group as special as it is, because you have Cale Makar, Devon Toews on that blue line, but you've got the depth to kind of pack that up with Sam Malinsky performing the way that he is, Josh Manson, maybe stepping it up a little bit more than he has in recent years. And when you have, transition gods like Nathan MacKinnon, Martin Necas on the other side, doing their best to keep that puck as far away from their goaltender as possible. You need everybody firing that way in order to, produce decent goaltending. And as you said, like you could put anybody back there and I'm sure they'd feel super confident about, the team that they've put together, just because of, if you've got great goaltending on that blue line, it's going to make it really easy for them back there. And I'm sure that gives all the confidence in the world to anybody back there that if they can make one save, like coming through that, they've done their job. I'm sure if you put a Jordan Binnington back there, he'd perform, his numbers would be much higher than they are right now. But that's the effect of the Colorado Avalanche, is it's not, this is one situation versus
give and take,
great
ways,
goaltending. Yeah. They really do work in a balance. Yep. Which I think is so important.
It's interesting. And obviously there's limitations when you look at an Olympic event. You can only bring so many players of each nationality. It's pretty hard to say that Mackenzie Blackwood shouldn't be there. And I know we've had this conversation before. We don't need to rehash Team Canada being stupid or whatever. But I'm surprised that you look at some other players that got left off of teams here too, right? I expected the international hockey organizations in general, I guess, to lean more into advanced statistics and things like that instead of picking off of vibes the way we've kind of seen. Go ahead.
Just for me, if you're looking at putting together an Olympic roster, as we've mentioned, there's a lot of factors to draw from it. And that's why I look so closely at Team Finland too, who I think has become they're a very well-rounded team as far as every single aspect of hockey. And that's the mindset that especially a Team USA was trying to go into this with as well, and saying it's not just about the best players who can go score the most goals or whatever. We need players who can perform in all aspects. That includes goaltending for me. But I think in looking at those areas of the ice as well, how can you not look at a goaltending while also looking at the best team in the league? Like, yes, and that's where that kind of give and take, that push and pull, that you can't have one without the other conversation rather, comes in for me for the Avalanche, and saying like, yes, Mackenzie Blackwood would not be as good without the team in front of him, but the team in front of him would also not be as good as they are without Mackenzie Blackwood. I think the same can be true for a Team Canada. Like, you have some elite talent on this roster, but you're also looking at the best goalies with the best opportunities to go and win you gold. And I don't know how you don't look at that push and pull, how Mackenzie Blackwood's feeding off of that conversation, and those performances to go and give it his all. Like, you've seen the confidence boost, especially with the amount of minutes he's been given. I just don't know how that's maybe not running through their minds, especially when you go and ask a Mackenzie Blackwood after the rosters are announced and he didn't get a call. That is baffling to me.
Yeah, it's just interesting that even Logan Thompson, who's, the expected starter for Team Canada, it seems like he's okay from his day-to-day injury. Statistically, Mackenzie Blackwood has been a better goaltender than him this year. Again, yes, less games played, sure, but it's just such a weird situation. I'm going to let it go because I'll just get mad about it if I keep talking about it.
No, because I have one more question too.
Go ahead,
if that's
go
the
ahead,
case,
then.
If Logan Thompson's the projected starter for Team Canada, what is the point of Jordan Binnington?
None. There ain't one. His GM said, I'm going to bring you because I can.
This is like, okay, you need a morale boost. Like, this is Team Canada. Here's your spot. That has to be the only. I just can't fathom it unless there's a plan in place to go and like intentionally rotate through your goaltenders. Which I have to think you're bringing 3 of them. You have to do at least some sort of rotating, give some guys. I mean, some time, but like. Also, the whole point was, okay, Jordan Binnington played really well in the Four Nations face-off. He went to go, he was a big part in the reason Canada won the whole thing. We're not going to go with you. Yeah, Logan Thompson's going to be the better guy. Like that's there you go. That's our team. What's the point? The point?
2 things. One, did Jordan Binnington play great in the championship game of Four Nations? Yes, absolutely. Played out of his mind. Canada doesn't win that game without him. Mm-hmm. Even with that game, he posted a 907 in the Four Nations. Without that game, he was posting like an 880. It was one really good game, not a great performance on the tournament as a whole. 2, if Jordan Binnington gets a game in these Olympics, I hope he gets blown out and they don't use him again.
You had your shot, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just looking at this with a bird's eye view, looking at, maybe some of the different choices I would have made, which obviously mine are maybe a little tainted with bias because we get to watch Mackenzie Blackwood on a regular basis, but like,
true.
It's just, it is really hard, especially knowing that Jordan Binnington is not going to be the starter, that he's not going to be the guy they go with to, do this thing. I am blown away.
It is what it is. I don't work for Team Canada, so it's on them at this point. Yeah, you can eat chicken strips for the rest of your life. I'll go eat some tomorrow, probably. Will the Avs trade Ross Colton? I don't know, man. Maybe. They might trade him. They might keep him. I think that's the only real questions we've seen in chat. So we can call it there. Bailey, any final thoughts on the Olympics this year before it actually starts and we have games to talk about?
I will bring up a comment I saw earlier too, in saying, sure, I hope MacKinnon brings Crosby back in the bag to Colorado. That was, can that happen? Can that be a thing? That is my only thought. And like, MacKinnon and Crosby are back together, and my feel good heart loves to see it.
Always down for another year of Crosby to Colorado rumors. Can't wait.
And another year of Nathan MacKinnon going fake news. Yeah. And breaking all of our hearts. So it's fine.
Yeah. It is what it is. We are going to get out of here for the day. Tomorrow, we're talking the best Avalanche Olympic performances ever. So, guys like Peter Forsberg, Joe Sakic, and some pretty good hockey players. Should be a fun one. And then after that, I think we're doing watch-alongs at 8 in the morning, starting the next day. So it's going to be fun for me getting up early. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us. This has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.